Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay, but we are here for qualifying for the final round in the FuturEsports FES Championship. It's a pleasure to be back here, and I'm not alone as well. I am joined for this fantastic final round here at Mexico. We will be later going to Brazil, but I am joined by the Hungarian sensation. You've got that right. It's Danny Bereznay. Danny, how are you?
Everyone, I hope everyone is doing great. I'm doing great for myself. It's two very interesting track to race on. Mexico, very long straights and fast technical corners, very technical with the corner cutting. I wonder what kind of quality racing we will get. And Brazil, I think it's my third favorite track in the calendar behind Spa-Francorchamps and the United States of America. So I think this will be a great place for the finale of this cup.
It certainly will be, and what we can tell you, at least in the immediate, is that Piotr Stachulec is in front. A man who has been improving non-stop so far in this championship, but just to bear in mind, he's currently third in the standings, 90 points to his name. The man leading the way, Samuel Bean in the Aston Martin, 119 points at the start of the championship. He's currently the man who is in the frame to win the title. He's yet to set a time here in qualifying, of course, no time set, but crucially, Tomek Perantis also in the fight. Second place in, but he won't win the title. He's not in this race, Danny.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. I'm not sure what's the reason why he didn't make it, but in the actual Challenger Series, he is actually leading ahead of Stachulec, so I think it will be a 1-1 situation between the two, and Stachulec would be really proud if he could take this title.
I think he would be, and certainly a huge opportunity will land before him should he land an excellent qualifying session. Currently owning a time of 1:13.502, and we're going to be looking forward to seeing how he can certainly stamp his authority on this field. He's done so already, just over 0.2 of a second quicker than Christoph Zeller, who's currently in second place, with his teammate Norbert Jakob in third place. AlphaTauri running with a very strong contingent up at the top end. They're both going out on outlaps as well. But now as we watch, Piotr Stachulec come through the Essay de Largo now, in towards the next right and soon in towards the next left here at the Hermanos Rodriguez circuit here in Mexico. It is going to be sensational here at the Autodromo. Comes into the stadium section and now in towards the next left-hander as he makes his way through the next tight chicane and rounding through towards the final corner very, very shortly. Can he land an extra blow here on this field? Huge moment here with a minute to go in qualifying. Hugs the inside. He does improve a 1:13.361. And that's a great lap time, Danny Bereznay.
It is one of the shortest track of the entire calendar, and look how close everyone is behind him from P2 to P16, sorry, actually P15, because P16 lap time is not that strong, but he is leading the field by miles, 0.4 of a second in such a short circuit. It's awesome to see, and I was watching on board in the lap, and he had the confidence to use every millimeter of the circuit, and that's what matters when you go for ultimate lap time here in Mexico.
You're absolutely spot on, Danny. The confidence is definitely a necessity, and certainly Christoph Zeller is going to be another man who's hoping that confidence is on his side as well. Very much needs to try and stamp out a good lap here against Piotr Stachulec, who's currently leading the way by a near 0.3. Ben Szabó-Kónyi now moves up into second place and goes second fastest ahead of Christoph Zeller now. So now Christoph has really got to send it here in this final sector as he now worms his way through the final chicane, round the next right-hander towards the home straight. There's yellow flags in all three sectors, and Alpine has binned it into the wall, and Miklavčič has also retired, but Christoph Zeller can't go any higher. He currently stays third fastest. Norbert Jakob, his teammate, currently out on a lap as well. Kedon Lutt is also out and about, but he's gone slower on his lap. Drama here at the finale here, Danny, but certainly we've got the championship leader coming through the final sector. Samuel Bean looking for an upset. Can the Aston Martin land a crucial heavy blow here at the final last gasp of quali? Here comes Samuel Bean, no time set. He's going to be dead last here at Mexico.
That's really unfortunate. I mean, he had 18 minutes to set a valid lap time, but he couldn't. At least he can use this league to practice for the races, the actual live races of F1 Esports Challenger Thursday. He will have to make a lot of overtakes, so at least he will feel the car in the turbulent air and can test a little bit with the overtaking spots, but I didn't think it is what he wanted at the last round leading the championship.
No, certainly is not the way he would have wanted to finish. Kedon Lutt now crossing the line. He can't quite put a better time in the board. He's now got a 1:13.877, but a good showing from Kedon Lutt, who has been lacking a little bit in consistency. I know Martin not going to go clear with another lap at all. He's on a slow down lap, so surely this will be the end of the qualifying session. But Piotr Stachulec is the man on pole, and what an advantage at a track like Mexico, because overtaking isn't the easiest, is it, Danny?
Yeah, it's not that easy, but here I think it's relatively easy, to be honest, because the ERS recuperation it's not fast, because there is not a lot of braking zones. So if the first leader doesn't want to drain its battery, then the others can easily attack from behind, but maybe the others don't want to either, because they wouldn't want to to drain their batteries neither. But yeah, it's a big gap, and in Mexico it's the longest flat out section before the first turn. It's more than 750 meters long, so I think he will actually have a pretty hard time maintaining this lead arriving to the first turn.
Certainly will, but 0.2 of a second at least clear of Szabó-Kónyi. Piotr Stachulec, the furiously fast pole, is on pole position. Szabó in second, as I said, for Red Bull, and then another Honda outfit in third and fourth. That's Christoph Zeller and Norbert Jakob, of course, representing AlphaTauri. Kedon Lutt in fifth, Primož Miklavčič in sixth, Istvan Pukki in seventh. And then, of course, we got Pamor in 8th with Zsolt and Boda in 9th, Milan Meyer in 10th, Ido Martin in 11th. But I have to say that rounds up your top 11 drivers. I have to say, folks, it's a pleasure to have you all with us here for the start of this amazing event 5. Thank you all for joining us. I'm just going to quickly just change the screen slightly, because Danny Bereznay is not George Morgan. We're going to make sure that he has his correct name underneath him. There we are, Danny. That's a little bit more like it. But yeah, what a fantastic start. Obviously, we only caught the final few minutes of qualifying, but Piotr Stachulec certainly seems to be the man to beat right now.
Yeah, he is definitely, but as I said, it's all about the first turn. I wonder the opposite strategy outside of the top 10. Here on this track, it's more than a second per lap difference between the two tires, so the two opposite strategy will be really interesting to see how it plays out. And also we saw in real esports how Jarno Opier strategically let Freddy pass just before the last lap, just to re-overtake him with the DRS. It was a bit of a fight between the two, like what we saw in the real world weekend as well, between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. And I think if Stachulec can't break the 1 second gap with the DRS with raw pace or strategy, then I think he will also need to fight strategically in this race, and not only by pure pace, because sometimes it's not enough.
No, not at all. And I have to say, if we're talking overtaking zones, Danny, are we talking about this main straight at the Recta Principale? Is it turn 1 that is going to be the prime overtaking opportunity, or could we see some movement in sector 2 as well?
Guys, I am actually driving, because I cannot retire now to be a spectator. I was curious why I'm in a car. I'm in a Red Bull actually. I will have to retire, but it seems that I do this formation lap with the field, obviously not distracting anyone, and I'm the last one on the grid, so I won't block anyone at the start. But yeah, I can give you a driver's insight now. What was your question? What is the best overtaking spot? I couldn't even pay attention.
Well, yeah, it was all about overtaking. Do you think turn 1 is the most effective overtaking point, or could we see some overtaking in sector 2?
Yeah, I think turn 1 is definitely, but you can reopen DRS when you are behind in the second long straight. So it's good if you don't overtake in turn 1, because you have another opportunity then. If you overtake too early, you may see a Max Verstappen Charles Leclerc Bahrain scenario, when, you know, the guy Verstappen overtook too early and then Leclerc re-overtook him. It could be the exact same scenario here as well. In the second sector, it's all about maintaining your tire temperatures to the minimum, because it's very easy to overheat them, and the last sector is the most technical, with high curves, low acceleration, and when you go there with an overheated tire, you won't have the mechanical grip to follow each other. And the car in front of me just spun on the outlap.
Yeah, an Alpine spinning, in fact. But how about that? Multi-talented Danny Bereznay giving us a lap and a commentary at the same time. Well done, Danny, for that. But we're going to now head over to the race screen, folks. There's Danny Bereznay's car. Obviously, he's going to be retiring. But there's Piotr Stachulec on pole position after the formation lap. What a treat, folks. Incredible scenes. And a pleasure to bring all of this to you as well. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Let's get ready for event 1 here in, well, our final event, race 1 in our final event here, event 5, as we hit pedal to the metal. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal, go, 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 go. And Szabó-Kónyi gets a very lovely start indeed. Goes alongside Piotr Stachulec, leading down towards turn 1. There you can see them now, nose to tail. Again, Stachulec now looking to try and go on the outside. Knows he must lead it towards turn 1 for sure to try and defend his lead. But no, it's Szabó-Kónyi who holds on. Norma Jakob in third. Christoph Zeller drops down a place as they make their way now down through towards the next chicane. Now will semi-chicane and Zsolt into turn 4 side by side. It's still Szabó-Kónyi with Piotr Stachulec sending it up the inside. The Ferrari hits the front. He's back on top, Danny.
Yeah, it looked awesome, the fight. I'm still doing a lap because I want to retire in the pit. I'm not sure if the safety car is on or off, but I don't want to cause any trouble. So yeah, I'm a driver and a commentator. The field kept it quite clean because I didn't see any front wing in plates and yeah, any damage from the others. The whole field is together, so it's nice racing out there.
Yeah, what a way to send off this final event, as now Samuel Bean, who's been making gains from the very start of this race, now makes his way to P13 with Marcus Thal now moving up into 14th, trying to go side by side with Domo Bench as now they come through the final corner here on lap 1, heading in towards lap 2, and Marcus Thal now up into 14th as part of the 2 black arrows in this race. Oxygen down in 16th. He's trying to chase on Bench as well, but still in front Keeley is Piotr Stachulec. Primož Miklavčič still in the fight as well, trying to gain on Christoph Zeller. A very energetic start, phenomenal start, as now Samuel Bean, who is a man on a mission, has just overtaken Christoph Katai. What a move from Samuel Bean. He's had a huge start, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, so plenty of positions that he gained already, 5 or 6 if I counted correctly. And it's not easy on this track, especially in the first laps. Everyone is pushing ERS very hard. Everyone is tied together. The damage is quite sensitive. If you lose your front wing in this fast section, you lose around half a second per sector, which is quite crazy. You need to be cautious, but it's important to make those gains because I think he will be up for top 6 positions by the end of the race with this race pace.
Well, he's up 5 places already and looking good on it as well. There you can see the tyres for this race so far. All of them on softs up through the top 10. Ido Martin, the next man on the medium tyres. How is that strategy gonna play out leading into the deeper half of this race? Danny, if you're a driver at this point, as we now watch Samuel Bean, who's looking to now make another overtake, he could well do. Look at him, even before the DRS line, going side by side with Ido Martin. Great opportunity now as he goes side by side again in towards turn 1. The Aston Martin, mean green fighting machine. Samuel Bean looking to send it as they head in towards turn 1. The McLaren now at the mercy of that green Aston Martin. Superb effort from Samuel Bean. He's up into 11th place. I'm running out of superlatives for this man, Danny.
Yeah, and it was crazy that even while overtaking, he was very strategical. He could help his chances by pushing ERS down the whole straight, but while he was side by side, he actually saved some energy because he knew that he is on the inside, he just needs to be in the position and then he will brake later and get the position eventually, but with the minimum energy used. And it's really important that drivers are not only drivers in today's Formula 1, but some kind of engineering as well, as you really need to be tactical with the added 163 horsepower of electronical energy, because once you are out of battery in these long straights, you are out of your chances. But yeah. Samuel Bean, as we talk about him, I think he used the track a little bit too eagerly, as it's only lap 4 and he already has a 3 seconds time penalty, and it wouldn't help his chances in such a close field like that. Stachulec having an awesome pace at the front. With this pace, I mean, he is unstoppable for sure. He broke out from the DRS, he's already leading by 2 seconds, and it's crazy on a track where it's so easy to follow the other because of the long straights. It's like, you know, as I always say, it's like animals in the snow. The first one needs to put out all the snow ahead, and the other ones have a clearer path. And it's exactly the same in Formula 1. You can gain around 10 km/h in the straight when you are behind some other. And Stachulec, even with this disadvantage, he managed to pull a gap. And I think from here he can control the race. But back to semi-Alpine, yeah, these penalties didn't help because from P2 to P11, everyone is within each other's DRS. So it's basically like 4 or 5 positions that you lose with a 3 seconds penalty.
Yeah, very dangerous indeed, and naturally not what you want, especially when you're leading a championship. Naturally, he's going to want all the points he can get, and having a penalty negates getting those points, which is not so good. But we've got a little bit of fighting happening at the front as well. Primož Miklavčič, who was touted as one of the firm favourites heading into this championship, has had a very up and down season, currently sits in 11th place in the championship, but a great result here would certainly go a long way to improving his championship standings. As they now head in towards turn 1, Szabó-Kónyi in second place, and a gap has been mightily drawn out between Piotr Stachulec and of course Szabó-Kónyi as well, as Marcus Thowell has now made a move into P12, and the black arrow there in the Mercedes now leads Christophe Catai, who is now right in behind now, might choose to make a move again. He is in the aero there of that Mercedes. Will he go for a launch down the inside? No, Marcus Thowell able to hold on, but he has got quite a gap between him and Samuel Bean, who is now starting to draw closer to Milan Meyer. So it's all starting to pop off here at Mexico, folks. Christoph Zeller right on the rear of his teammate Norbert Jakob as well. The two AlphaTauris nose to tail. The delta gap very minimal. The gap thinner than a fly's eyelash as they now come into sector 3 proper. Still Stachulec leads, 2.5 seconds the advantage, and that gap is only growing here, Danny.
Yeah, Stachulec is clear from everyone else, but the last podium positions will be really important for everyone between P2 and P8. I see chances for podiums. The pit stop will be really interesting. I'm not sure if the undercut is that effective here, as we see the medium runners are still losing around half a second per lap, even with the worn soft tires. But now there is a move coming up from Szele Kristóf against Szabó-Kónyi. No, it was actually Norbert who tried to overtake the Red Bull, but he actually failed to do it from the outside, and now he compromised his exit, so his teammate in the other AlphaTauri are trying to send it down the inside line, and Kristóf, he needs to keep it really tight because otherwise he will spin if a contact is made. Teammates push each other out of the track. It's quite an aggressive driving between the two. Kristóf is still out of the track, and it was a little bit of a breathing pace for the Red Bull ahead, as eventually nothing changed, but they just lost a bit of time, and Szele already got a 3 seconds time penalty, as well as Marcus and Samuel Bean and Fazekas Bence. So yeah, drivers are quite aggressive with the limits, and there is the move arriving to the last sector. Primož Miklavčič trying to send one to the inside, but then in the other turn, a left-hander, it's Kristóf who is in the better line. Primož chooses to cut the track, but I think he gained an unfair advantage there, and he visits the pit, except of letting pass the position. Now Kedon Lutt won 3 positions in this battle because everyone in front was slow and he could just pass them, and Kristóf, he's trying to just get back on the toes because he lost a lot.
He did, and I'm actually surprised that Christoph Zeller will make the move, in fact, going off onto the inside, heading in towards turn 1. Couldn't quite execute, but yes, Primož Miklavčič boxing into the pit lane for an early pit stop. Now, that could mean strategy. I'm not sure whether there was damage involved in that circumstance, but it did get very argy-bargy heading in through the final sector. Norbert Jakob now in third, but you get the feeling that that battle between the AlphaTauris actually caused, or actually gave Szabó-Kónyi exactly what he wanted, which was delta time, but it's been automatically reeled back in. It's now back into 6.5 tenths from nearly a second difference. So Norbert Jakob not losing that crucial DRS, and at this moment in time he looks like he's gaining here at the moment on Szabó-Kónyi. So still more action to come here in this FES 3 League. It is absolutely phenomenal. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves, folks. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're watching us here on YouTube. Not forgetting a follow as well on Twitch if you're watching us there as well. Is now watching a lot of cars bail into the pit lane. In comes Stachulec. The leader is in. Christoph Zeller as well. But Balzers Palmer as well is in the pit lane too. So now Szabó-Kónyi leads the way. But here comes now Norbert Jakob round the outside the AlphaTauri on the sister car, the Red Bull. But expertly defended from Szabó-Kónyi. Great move indeed.
It's very good for everyone who pitted now and for all the cars on the alternative strategy, as these in the front fight so much they really hinder their opportunities. I think fighting here it's not so tactical, you can fight it out in the last few laps, but here you lose race time.
Yeah, you certainly do indeed. It's vital that they just maintain the gaps, make sure that they don't get undercut, I think is the crucial thing here. Obviously, if they keep scrapping, if there is a fight for the lead, we saw it earlier on between the two AlphaTauris when they were fighting together. Szabó-Kónyi was able to increase his gap by a second, or nearly to a second. So that would obviously get him clear of DRS, and that is the one risky element in this race. You lose DRS, then it's really hard to get it back, Danny.
Yes, it is, and I'm sure everyone else will go into the pit. Actually, the pit entry is quite tricky here. Someone already took out that bollard on the entry separating the track from the pit, and Zsolt got a 3 seconds time penalty only halfway through the race. He already had more than 2 warnings to his name. You need to release the clutch manually in the pit, so that's all good. And yeah, I think big undercut will happen.
Yeah, 100%, certainly, and plenty of cars in the pit lane again. Szabó-Kónyi, Norbert Jakob, Kedon, Lutt, as well as Christoph Zeller now, who moves up, in fact, Zsolt is there as well. Milan Meyer in the pits too. Quite a few penalties have been dished out across the board. Obviously, we'll give you a rundown of what those are as well. There you can see all of them on 3-second time penalties, bar bench FES car, who is currently on 6 seconds, as we're now watching Samuel Bean try and close up on Istvan Pukki. Now, of course, Samuel Bean could pull off a masterful overcut here if he can. Well, if he can pull this off, it'll be massive, certainly towards his potential race result. Obviously, remember the fact that he had an early 3-second time penalty could be underwritten because everyone else has got one. There's a good chance here for Samuel Bean to still get a good result in this race.
Yes, it is. When you get a penalty, you are just praying that everyone else gets a penalty as well. But meanwhile, between place 10 to 12, there was big fight, and actually both of the AlphaTauris overtook Photon, who was on the cold tires coming out of the pit. Actually, he leaded the pack. He was second when he entered the pit, and now Primož Miklavčič undercut him. Norbert Jakob overtook him, and Sele Christoph also undercuts him. So Photon from P2, he's down to potentially P5.
Yeah, Christoph Gatai now making a move on Marcus Thal as well for P2 in the race, but Marcus Thal, despite his 6-second time penalty, he's picked up another one as well, manages to hold off that of the Alpine, and this will certainly help Samuel Bean out massively. Also a big fight down below as well with Szabó-Kónyi going up against Norbert Jakob as well. Muscles off the AlphaTauri off the track between the pair. What a scrap, and Kedon Lutt now taking full advantage in the McLaren, goes ahead there of Norbert Jakob, and will try maybe to make a move on Szabó-Kónyi. No move could be made, but Primož Baltas as well gets ahead of Norbert Jakob for 12th place, and that Red Bull car moves up a spot. Incredible moment here, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is so super aggressive. I didn't expect this from the guys. I think this track is also quite tricky to drive side by side because there is fast direction changes and also big corners to push the other off the track, but it's more aggressive than what we are used to, I guess, and it's already halfway through.
Yeah, it is, certainly is. Lap 11 of 18. We've now got 7 laps to go, and the strategies are pretty much all signed and sealed, as now we're seeing some movements being made. Piotr Stachulec, who's now in front. Our timing tower has just sorted itself out. He's leading the way as we're seeing them all get jumbled up here. Primož Miklavčič now in second. Further back as well, we've got a little bit of a mix-up with Samuel Bean now back into 7th. I'm not sure what's going on here. Did Samuel Bean just give the position, or is he just boxed?
No, he just pitted. I think he was one of the latest to pit from the soft tires, but I think it was the right strategy. As I thought, here the medium tires are like 1 second slower than the soft tires per lap. So even against worn out soft tires, it's not easy to undercut at all. And Samuel Bean, he had the pure pace, and he just stayed out for very long. The others fought with each other, being on the same strategy, and now he's up to P7, which is, I think, quite good, starting the race from nearly last.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a fantastic result. Currently up into 7th place. That's 10 places gained at least there from Samuel Bean. So he's having a terrific drive.
And
right now.
Everyone is splashing in front of him, which means everyone is nearly under 15% of energy, and Samuel Bean has nearly 70% energy. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but in the spectator menu I got this data. So I think he will make moves quite quickly. Ahead of him there is Balázs, and the Williams is already flashing, and you know when someone flashes in the wet it means the conditions, the visual conditions are not so good, but when someone flashes in the dry it means that their charge is under. So you gain significant advantage against them in the straights. I wonder why Samuel Bean didn't choose to overtake him. He still saves some energy for the last lap, or I think he may want to overtake here in the second straight.
Well, if he overtakes now, it means it saves him plenty of time. He can then focus his energy on Kedon Lutt, as we're now watching him now. Have a little look here on Balázs Paima now as they come through the next right. Nothing between them still. The gap starting to draw closer. A bit of a nudge there from Samuel.
Yeah, I think in the long straight Samuel should have overtaken, used a little bit more energy, because now he just loses out massively in the second sector behind the slower car. So the energy that he could have gained, he would have won it back with like lap time. And I'm not sure if his front wing got damaged or not, but here he actually fought back a little after that contact.
Yeah, he seemed to struggle with the grip heading in the S's section, so we'll have to see whether there is any significant damage to that Aston Martin, but he looks okay at the moment. He's right on the rear of the Williams, and now coming out to the final corner, out to the Peraltada, heading down the home stretch now here in lap 13 of 18. The Aston Martin's got to fly. Points on the table here for Samuel Bean. Can he send it? The rear end flashing there on Paima Balázs coming in towards turn one. A late break. Oh, blimey, that was close. And Samuel Bean has to take the escape road and rejoin the track, but surely that's going to cause a huge problem.
Yeah, and he got a 5 seconds penalty for corner cutting. Actually, he at least didn't lose that much time, but yeah, he's definitely driving interestingly at the moment, I would say. I expected him to make moves, and now he even missed his braking point. He is really waiting for the last laps, but he didn't need to overtake 1 or 2 cars. He has to overtake a lot more, 5 cars ahead of him, and he needs to make moves now.
He certainly does.
And he got another 3 seconds penalty. You see, it's about millimeters, but if you go wide, you get a warning, and after the second warning, the third warning will be a 3 seconds penalty. It's crazy. If we compare to esports to real life, sometimes real life drivers would be disqualified from the race if it was in the Codemasters situation. Obviously, it's about what they talk with the FIA. But here we have really strict rules, and it's actually Szabó-Kónyi who doesn't have any penalty, and it's looking quite good for him for the second place. Piotr Stachulec in another league. Samuel Bean, I think he's making a move now. He uses some of his energy, and down the inside I think he will definitely make it stick this time, and now he's up to P6, but with a lot of penalty at his name. But obviously as a driver we want to finish ahead on track, and then obviously penalties feel bad, but the most important thing is that on track you are fast enough and you can finish ahead of your rivals.
Is it a possibility, Danny, that he could have the penalty looked at after the race with the stewards? Could they decide to override it, because he did give the position back, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean the 5 seconds penalty is definitely unrealistic, but the 2 times 3 seconds penalty, I think it just came down to multiply warnings, so I think it will not be deleted, and everyone ahead of him only has 3 seconds time penalties, so it's not so positive for him still.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on him and see how he gets on. Naturally, though, 11 seconds is not a good place to be, but he's right on the rear of Kedon Lutt now, so he's going to keep on pushing, is Samuel Bean. As we now watch him coming through the final corner at the Peraltada again to begin their next lap. But we've got a retiree as well. Bence now out of this race as well. As now we're watching Samuel Bean head down through towards turn one yet again, as he's now right in behind Kedon Lutt. Kedon Lutt's behind Szabó-Kónyi, who's in a very good position for a potential podium here. P2, in fact, if he can keep the car clean. As though we watch Samuel Bean again rising here to the occasion with the DRS opened up now. The Aston Martin down the outside and will move up into P5 on track. A wonderful manoeuvre, and I bet he'll wish he did that earlier.
Yeah, but I mean, there is still 3 laps to go outside of this, and he only needs to make 3 places, so if he overtakes every lap 1 time, then he is good for P2 at least on track, and it would be a really awesome performance compared to where he started. I mean, he has the freshest tires, but these mediums wear out quite slow on this smooth circuit of Mexico. But still, maybe a couple of hundreds of lap time, it matters. And he has the most amount of ERS compared to everyone else. I think it's Ben Sabo who actually has the most favorable situation with 63% of energy, but ahead Primož Miklavčič only 30% and Kristof only 15%. So Ben Sabo and Samuel Bean is definitely in a really good position, and we see Kristof being the leader of the pack at P2, but I think he will suffer in the last lap because of lack of energy and lack of power from the engine when it will really matter.
Yeah, no DRS either, because of course he's 6.5 seconds behind Piotr Stachulec, who is very much enjoying the race all by himself right now. 2 laps left to go, and Kristof, or Christoph Zeller, as some of you might know him as, he's currently in 2nd place and looking very ropey right now, it has to be said, for the AlphaTauri. Primož Miklavčič, who is now currently 3rd place on track. Remember though, he has got 6 seconds of time penalties. The one man who could benefit here is Szabó-Kónyi, and the one man as well, Istvan Pukki, another man who's consistent. Currently no penalties, half a second away from Primož Balzas. He could be an outsider for another potential podium.
Yeah, definitely. When you don't have penalty, it really adds up, and everyone is within the DRS compared to each other. The whole field is together, packed up. We see the soft runners gaining massive lap time, but I think they will catch the pack just about too late. And we see Samuel Bean is actually sitting on his ERS, on his overtake button, because he tries to make at least 1 or 2 moves, or at least force the others to use their energy as well. Kristof in front is splashing, he loses massive lap time in the straight, but he manages to keep himself just about ahead of Primož Stachulec and also Ben Sabo. He didn't really want to make moves, but now he will definitely has to defend against Samuel.
Yeah, he certainly will. Samuel Bean now, who's going to go down the inside here of Szabó-Kónyi. Well, down the outside now, heading into the inside. Towards the next right-hander, coming out of what will be the Essay de Largo, into the Hawkeye bends as well. And Samuel Bean gets into P4. It's an Aston Martin, 3rd and 4th. And now, on this lap 17, the penultimate lap here in this Mexican Grand Prix. Still Stachulec leads, but this huge battle for the podium places is erupting. But of course, Samuel Bean in severe jeopardy. He's got 11 seconds of penalties. There's surely no chance he's going to finish in the podium places unless the stewards say differently. But as it stands right now, Christoph Zeller with a 3-second time penalty, Primož Miklavčič on 9 seconds, Szabó-Kónyi, if he just stays like this, he could yet get 2nd place. Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's letting people go. He has a lot of ERS. Meanwhile, Samuel Bean overtakes Primož Miklavčič. The 2 Aston Martin is still side by side. Miklavčič was down the inside. He could brake a little bit later. Now they are arriving side by side to the chicane. They leave each other a bit of room. Samuel was pushed out, and now he is heading to the inside line, but he is absolutely out of energy. I'm sure he will try to brake as late as he possibly can, but Primož was just most comfortable on the brakes, and Kristof, he was really happy with this fight, because I told him, I told you that he has no ERS, but he could still keep P2 because everyone was involved in a fight behind him, and he couldn't, they couldn't focus on overtaking actually P2 on track. But Photon, what we started to speak about, he just did a clean race. He didn't get in big fights. He didn't get his ego to mess up his race. I wonder if there will be a dive down the inside here in the slow section. Meanwhile, it's Stachulec who will win the race. But he kept it the most clean, and he will finish P2. But our race winner is actually Stachulec. And sorry to not even saying that in time, but I didn't pay attention for him. It was such a great fight between the 2 Aston Martins, who eventually finished P8 and P9, P10 and P11. They are just keep on falling back the order. Samuel Bean still falling. P12 is crazy how much penalty he got.
It's absolutely pandemonium, but Piotr Stachulec is the winner of this Mexican Grand Prix and the first race in our 5th event here for the FES League 3. What a tremendous performance. A man who kept it clean, was not hindered by any stretch of the imagination. And what this means is that we will have an epic title fight, surely, heading into our final race at Brazil. That is going to be so key. Szabó-Kónyi, who we said before, another man who kept it clean. He's in second place with Istvan Pukki, the other man who was also incredibly clean and consistent. He's done it again. He is in the podium places once again. Third place for Istvan Pukki. Impressive performances from those guys.
Yeah, impressive. You just need to keep it clean. That's what all matters. I know everyone wants to finish ahead of each other on track, but if you want to finish ahead of each other on the timetable, then you cannot be getting penalties.
Not at all, absolutely not. But Stachulec will raise the trophy here in our first race. What a way to do it as well, in defined style, in great style. And Szabó-Kónyi in second. You can see they're in the Red Bull uniform, as well as Istvan Pukki, who lined up in third. So Ferrari on top here today. We'll go through the full order of the race. What a tremendous drive by Piotr Stachulec. And it's really shown what he is capable of, and has been a man on the improvement for such a long time now. And we've seen his rise. He's doing absolutely brilliantly in challenges. We've seen his work in league racing as well. Certainly has risen like a phoenix from the flames, really, or the phoenix from the ashes, should we say, in recent months. But now he can enjoy the plaudits of a win here at Mexico, which will surely go a long way in his title quest. But what a moment indeed. What a battle, folks. An incredible race, that is for sure. And next up as well, we're going to be bringing you live action as well from Sao Paulo in Brazil. But how do we review that race, Danny? That was absolutely tremendous. I think what we need to talk about is the penalty situation. I think obviously it's, as you say, the cleaner drivers won it on the day.
Yeah, it is. I mean, definitely in the challengers they will keep it cleaner, at least they will try to, but I think it's a great learning lesson from them that even if you gain 2/10 advantage per lap using the track riskier, it still doesn't worth it to get a 3 seconds time penalty. But we see the same in Imola here, actually in the FuturEsportS League, and then actually in the challengers less people got penalty, but there were still instances where people got penalty on the live event, and this is what you absolutely cannot afford in the esports level. It's good to compare the official F1 esports championship in Mexico, although it was a longer race because it's also only 25%, and that is 35%. No one, absolutely no one in the top 10 got a penalty with the same strict conditions. So there is a bit of difference there between the pro esports driver and the younger generation who has a bit more confidence. And also, speaking of the race, we just didn't speak about Piotr Stachulec, but he gained half a second per lap in such a competitive field compared to everyone else, and that is absolutely crazy, especially completely alone with no DRS, no slipstream, no kind of assist. He just kept it clean, kept his foot down the throttle, and he won fair and square, really. I think it's the biggest advantage win in this whole league, and I think he should be happy. And it's crazy that we always want to see fun races, but as a driver you wish that you complete a race which is the most boring, like Stachulec. But winning is never boring. Winning is always super exciting, even if you are alone at the front.
You're absolutely right, Danny. You're absolutely spot on. And going back to what you were saying about the differences between F1 esports drivers and the challengers drivers, it is so important. I think people forget as well that, albeit it's great to make overtakes during the race, but it's all about that racecraft as well, and being able to keep it in the grey stuff, in between the curbs, not going over the white lines. It's so important, isn't it? Because of course, like you say, fine margins in the world of esports, because it's a little bit stricter. You get penalised. It's so easy to get penalised. As opposed, you can't just go to a steward on the radio and say, listen, can we please have that incident looked at? I don't think that was a penalty. It's very absolute the way the system works, certainly in the world of esports. So you have to have that attention to detail, those fine margins. And would you say that is the main difference between your esports level talent and the challengers talent?
Maybe, but I'm sure with the esports they would be more cautious. Here they don't feel like it matters so much, so they just send it and enjoy driving. Because I have to admit, it's not enjoyable to always drive scared of going a little bit wide and to be under the limit. You want to be always on the limit and pushing to the maximum, even if it sometimes means a warning or a penalty. And when it comes to esports, everyone knows how big risks he takes competing against the best drivers of the world and how much he needs to prove himself. Here, maybe not that much, but I think it's definitely a very valuable lesson and practice for everyone. And I think at the age of the drivers, I think the oldest driver here was like 17 years old. It's absolutely crazy. It's still at the beginning of the learning curve.
It certainly is. Well, we're going to be talking about our next race at Brazil very shortly. But first of all, folks, just a little short advert from our sponsors.
2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody. Obviously, a pleasure to be back here for this final event here in FuturEsports, and obviously the drama keeps on intensifying. We're going to have a spectacular final battle, and if you guys weren't familiar with the current affairs of the standings, this is obviously before we went into Mexico. Samuel Bean leading the way in the championship, but he didn't have the best of races in our first race tonight, of course. Remember, he sustained all those penalties. It moved him all the way down the order. And what that's allowed is Stachulec to really close up to the top, because, of course, Samuel Bean has not scored any points, but Stachulec, of course, scored maximum points. And therefore, that puts him in a prime position in order to potentially unseat Samuel Bean for the championship. We'll obviously have to keep you guys posted on that situation. Tomek Peradze is not here, of course, so that win from Stachulec will surely move him ahead of Tomek Peradze as well, with Akinci also not here as well, with Christoph Zeller still about 2. So lots of drama in the championship tussle. Let's have a little look, though, at the facts for race 2, because, of course, we've got this one coming up very shortly. Of course, we will need to bring you some updated graphics for the Brazil one, which, if you just bear with us, we will bring to you. Here we are. We have got Sao Paulo coming up next, 4.309 kilometers. That's 15 turns here at this circuit. A spectacular circuit, Danny. It's been a grand finale in the world of Formula One in the past, and for good reason, because it always brings great racing.
Yeah, it always does. There are multiple combinations where you can do side-by-side action, make dive bombs or switchback moves on the others, and the elevation change just makes everything even much more fun. And it's very technical, but not too hard to overtake on. So a very good balanced circuit, one of my favorites, as I mentioned below.
It's certainly one of mine as well, and just the sheer variety of the corners as well. Some of you have obviously been watching Formula One, certainly last season, the big battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Who can forget the move heading into turn 4 into Decidia de Largo, where it looked like Verstappen had sent Hamilton out wide, missed the corner, missed the apex. There was a lot of conversation about that. Certainly Max had to certainly sustain a penalty for those actions. Well, it wasn't a penalty, he actually got just a warning, I believe, in an actual fact, but it was such a big moment. But that corner is so relentless, and certainly you'll see a lot of the overtakes heading into the Decidia de Largo, but you're not just limited to overtakes in the home straights or in the high-speed corners, in the medium-speed corners, but also in the middle sector, in the low-speed corners as well, Danny. There's plenty of opportunities heading in towards, for example, turn 8, in towards turn 11 at Pico de Pato. Then, of course, you've got the home straight heading out of Junchao into the Arquibancadas, down in towards turn 1 at the Center S's. There is so much opportunity at this track.
Yeah, opportunities, a lot of opportunities, and I think here the opposite strategy will be really exciting to watch, because here, unlike Mexico, the medium tires are not that much slower than the softs. So whoever starts on the mediums can stay within DRS, but then at the end of the race they can be faster than the others. And I think on this track the tire wear is not that high either. So I think sometimes the medium runners will actually pit earlier to softs than the softs runners to mediums, because the soft is the better race tire. So whoever starts on medium, even if we think that he will pit later, maybe those will be the guys to pay attention with an undercut. but definitely the tire age at the end will matter a lot, because it's not about leading lap 15 or lap 14 or lap 13, it's about leading and being the most fast in the last lap and crossing the checker like sooner than anyone else. And this is why you really need to consider when do you plan to make those positions that you want to make.
Yeah, and of course, with it being a one-shot quali system here in Brazil, because of the variety, does that bring like a tougher test for the drivers heading into Brazil? I mean, looking at the track and knowing its history, certainly in esports, it's not overly known for penalties. I suppose that you're more likely to get penalties in Mexico than you are Brazil. But still, is there that little bit of tension when you throw short qualify or that quick qualifying in one-shot quali? Does that make things that much tougher?
Yeah, it does. And also tire overheating, it's tougher because in one-shot quali you get 94 degrees tires. Meanwhile, when you are on a lap, like in Brazil, you start the lap with like 88 degrees tires. So you already start the lap with a little bit heated up tires, and by the last sector you can really lose the back end if you are overly aggressive on the accelerations especially. And yeah, warnings are not a big factor here, the curves are quite flat, so you can attack them consistently, and this is why I actually love the circuits compared to circuits like Monza, where it's literally all or nothing. Here you can cut consistently and you don't need to hit the curb in the perfect angle to survive. You can take the corners in more creative and different way, and you still be competitive. So I really enjoy this track, but especially turn 2 exit, you can use all the track, and actually then you can get a warning if you use too much. Turn 4 exit is also really strict, and the double right-hander at the top of the hill, if you go wide there, you can also get your lap invalidated. But in other places I think it's quite straightforward and you don't gain any advantage with going wide, so you are not in the risk of losing your lap time.
No, not at all. It's certainly going to be an interesting spectacle, seeing who takes advantage of this epic circuit. Certainly, I have to say, folks, it's a pleasure to have you all with us. If you are joining us here tonight, like I said before, please don't forget to leave a like and also subscribe to the FuturEsports channel here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch, please drop a follow as well. We're here bringing you all the action, of course, coming up next, as we have been talking about the Brazilian Grand Prix, the final hurdle in this fantastic championship. And Brazil known for its championship fights. I mean, I can remember Hamilton and, of course, the Felipe Massa situation. Is that Glock run through, as we can all remember, of course. Danny, have you got any favourite memories of Brazil, Danny Bereznay?
Yeah, I'm a Sebastian Vettel fan, so actually 2012 was a good memory, and emotionally a roller coaster ride with Sebastian spinning already in the first lap in turn 4, and then everyone passed him. His car was slightly damaged. I remember how fast Red Bull actually painted the picture of the car and gave it to Adrian Newey, the technical director of Red Bull Racing, and then, you know, he was looking at the car, how bad the damage is, maybe what kind of setup change they can make quickly on the differential or on the wings when Vettel comes into the pit. And then, you know, there was the weather. The race started off in dry and then it became wet, but then it dried up a little bit. Someone stayed out on track for long, and actually their Hamilton and Hülkenberg collided, and it would have been still the only podium or even a race victory for Nico Hülkenberg that race, so that was really memorable. But then 2 cars in front of Alonso crashed out, so Alonso gained significant amount of points, and at the end it only came down to 2 points between Vettel and him, and actually Vettel could secure his 3rd title at that moment, and I was really happy. Heartbroken for Fernando, obviously, but I was a Vettel fan since 2008 because I actually started watching Formula 1 when he joined. He was the youngest, he was blonde, he has blue eyes just like me, so I supported him and he won the title after all, after such a roller coaster season, and yeah, that's probably my favorite memory.
Well, I have to say, Danny, you're making me feel very old. I mean, when my first memory of Formula One was 1996, Damon Hill winning the World Championship. So we've got very different first memories, but still, nevertheless, steeped in history is this sport, which is wonderful to see, and it's great to hear your stories as well of your favourite Formula One drivers as well. If you have any stories as well about Formula One, please hit up our comment section and tell us all about it, because of course it is exactly what it is. It's heritage, folks. We can talk about Formula One all day long. That is why we're fans of the sport. But certainly we're going to be watching another great contest here about to happen at Sao Paulo, and it's going to be a tasty affair. Danny, where is your money going? Do you feel it could be Samuel Bean's day today? Because despite the penalties in our last race, he had so much pace, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he will get this. Because this is a track with not a lot of corner cutting. I think he didn't enjoy corner cutting a lot. And I mean, he's leading the championship for a reason, and Stachulec is awesome, and Stachulec is actually ahead of Samuel Bean in the actual Challenger series, and I'm sure Stachulec practices really, really hard, but if I were Samuel Bean, I just wouldn't let this story go, and if I was leading so much before the last run, you just need to get it somehow, so I think he will be eager to not let Stachulec win 2 out of the 2 races here.
No, absolutely not, and I'm sure he will not give it up without a fight, and we're hoping we will see a big tussle. I mean, that is what we all want to see, isn't it? A big straight fight between Piotr Stachulec and Samuel Bean, final race of this championship. I mean, who's going to come out on top? It's a big, big mystery, but nevertheless an exciting one, to say the least. Event 5 just around the corner, folks. One-shot qualifying is next on our list. The big question mark around the weather. What's the weather going to be? Let's talk about it, Danny. Sao Paulo, what's it like when it's wet?
Yeah, it's very technical because, for an example, turn 3 in the dry is spread out, but in the wet you need to apply the throttle smoothly throughout the whole corner, and it's quite a long corner, and when you lose the grip you lose it quite instantly. It's a snap oversteer, and then as well when you hit the curbs they react a lot more aggressive, and on the corner entries you can lock up your first tires a lot easier as well. I mean, it just brings in more and more difficulty. With a dry setup, usually the wet is understeery. You need more rotation in the wet, especially slow speed. And already with the dry setup, I think for a lot of the guys, their front wing is like 10 or 11. So if the race is dry but the quali is wet, drivers will probably have to drive with a very bad setup actually in the wet conditions. So that's making things even more challenging.
Absolutely. Well, going from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, we now will be shortly heading over to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pachier now for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It is going to be sensational. Plenty of drama that has existed throughout this championship. We've seen it as we've travelled from Italy, where we staged Imola, formerly known as the San Marino Grand Prix, to then go to Portimao, to then go to Austria, to then go to Silverstone, of course, then the Netherlands, Spa, Monza, Austin. We've just had Mexico City. We're now going to be heading over to Interlagos, and what a circuit, as I've said before, steeped in history. Some famous drivers, of course, from Brazil, plenty of esports talent looking to try and land a huge blow here at Brazil. And I'm looking forward to seeing who it's going to be. If you have your picks, please leave them in the chat box, and we will read them out, of course, as the timer ticks down before we head out for one-shot qualifying. Just to ask you then, Danny, an expert's opinion, what kind of driver is going to come out on top in Brazil?
I think it will be Stachulec. Although I'm rooting for Samuel Bean, I don't know why. I always try to root for the driver who was not so good in the previous race, and now it's Samuel Bean who couldn't show his maximum potential, so I hope he does here. But what I absolutely hope is great racing, and obviously for me a Hungarian win would be actually the best, because I don't think any Hungarian won in this series, because it's often Tomek, Stachulec, and it's actually wet! It's wet! It's wet in the qualifying. I wonder what it will be in the race, but now we are coming to the conditions that I actually mentioned, and it will be really, really difficult to select the best setup for both the race and the qualifying, because you don't want to lose a lot of track position, but you don't want to have a slow race setup neither.
Well, this is probably the most interesting situation we can have for one-shot qualifying, because this again puts extra pressure on the drivers, not only for a sense of just getting around this track, but a strategy sense as well. You know, how is this going to affect the strategies? Did the drivers practice a certain strategy beforehand? Let's head over to the race screen for the start of this qualifying session, folks. And there you can see, certainly, as Pavel Balzas now makes his way through, Milan Meyer on top right now. We're going to ride on board, I think, with Samuel Bean, who's now making his way out of the Center S. This huge mistake, heading out of turn one. I think another man we'll look at is Piotr Stachulec, who's now making his way down through towards turn 4. Primož Miklavčič currently holding his own at the moment at the top, currently dicing it out here with Piotr Stachulec, who loses a little bit of shape heading out of that section. A lot of the drivers finding this a little unsteady, Danny.
Yeah, it's all about applying the throttle smoothly, and actually in these conditions invalidating your lap time is actually easier because you can go wide quite easily. And Samuel Bean made a big mistake in the first sector. He was actually lost for a couple of moments, but now he is back to P3, so I think it's still everything to play for. And I'm riding on board with Stachulec, who is short shifting, using all the track he can, especially being afraid from the outside curves there, and it's all about for him the last exit. He needs a little bit of counter steer, but now he can be pedal to the metal, and I think he will win this qualifying session. But what a comeback from Samuel Bean, who came from last to P2 in the last 2 sectors.
And what a wonderful battle we have on our hands. Turn 1 is going to be Samuel Bean and certainly Piotr Stachulec as well, with Primož Miklavčič in behind. Are the two Aston Martins going to work together? That's the big question. There's another Ferrari behind though, Zsolt and Baena as well in the frame. But Piotr Stachulec is on pole for the start of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Samuel Bean in second. What a start we're going to be in for this excellent race. It's going to be absolutely special. Do not go away, folks. This is going to be a bumpy ride. Primož Miklavčič in third, Zsolt and Baena in fourth, Akinci in fifth, Kedon Lutt in sixth, with Christoph Zeller in seventh, Szabó-Kónyi in eighth, with Piotr in 9th, as well as Norbert Jakob in 10th as well. What an incredible situation we have on our hands. It's going to be a great fight, folks. Brace yourself. This race is going to be epic, Danny.
Yes, it will 100% will, and I think it will be really strategical, because against Samuel Bean, I don't think Stachulec would be able to pull away from the DRS. They are starting on the same tires, so also... actually, they are not surely starting on the same tires, because now you are free to select the tires. So I wonder what kind of tires they will start on. And yeah, I think we will see some DRS strategy, because you actually want to be P2 arriving to the last lap and making a move in the last lap after you can be re-overtaken. Because here in the long flat out sections, the DRS is really powerful.
So now those drivers who have obviously qualified on intermediates, now they can put the dry tyres on. That nullifies the need to start on the tyre that you qualified on, obviously. So does this automatically give an advantage to those in the top 10?
Yeah, this is because, you know, outside of the top 10, this is their only advantage. They are quite a few positions behind, but at least they can start whichever tires they want to. And now we already see some drivers with different tires. Actually, no, I see everyone on the mediums at the moment, but I will try to bring in my telemetry to see what kind of tires everyone starts on. And except of Bence, Szabó-Kónyi, everyone starts on the mediums in the whole field. Everyone except of one guy. I really wonder how it will play out for Photon.
Well, by the looks of it, these drivers on the mediums are looking to stretch it beyond lap 11. That's all I can say, because the strategy of choice that we were given on the graphic was lap 11 to box on the softs. So the mediums will probably go that little bit longer. Will they box around lap 13, do you think, Danny?
No, I think because the soft is a better race tire, I think they will actually pit for soft for around lap 7, lap 8. And actually, I see a scenario where it's Bence who stays out for the longest. I'm not sure about that, but the soft is actually a really good race tire here, and the tire wear is not that high. So I expect some people being very aggressive on the undercut, starting from mediums, and then yeah, maybe someone stays out for like lap 13 and be very fast at the end, and it will all be decided whether he can make moves quick or not.
Well, we'll soon find out. The car's now lining up on the grid for the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and this is going to be the last race of the championship. Piotr Stachulec alongside Samuel Bean. You could not write a better finale. Two juggernauts in this series. Samuel Bean fresh from a very fast-paced Mexican GP after Piotr Stachulec won that race. It's now the two giants colliding as we begin this race. Keep it with us. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go! And it's still side by side, Piotr Stachulec and Samuel Bean, who immediately jumps into P1, heading under the center S's. Primož Miklavčič in third, Akinci in fourth, Zsolt and Baena, and a very poor start, dropped down to 7th place from P4 as they now make their way in towards turn 4 out of the city of Delago. Primož fighting it out here with Marcus Thowell as well, as they go side by side out of turn 4 as well. And there's Primož dropping down into 12th place. Kedon Lutt into 11th. What a start though. Szabó-Kónyi is now in 4th place.
Yeah, Bence started from P8 and he already gained 4 positions using the grip advantage of the soft tires, and I'm sure he will try to send one down the inside of Primož Miklavčič into turn 11. It's a super clean move by Szabó-Kónyi. He had the advantage arriving to the apex and he is already up on the podium, and I think the best for him to do is to push, save some energy and pit with the others and just try to stay within this train, as he is on the opposite strategy, but he's looking great so far. At the end, their medium tires will be better.
You certainly will. Akinci in 5th also tried to, make the jump on Primož Miklavčič, who was licking his wounds after the assault by Szabó-Kónyi for that 3rd place, but naturally the Red Bull found the pace because he's on the soft tyres. He's the only man on them right now, apart from now Ido Martin, who is pitted. So is Bence, as well as Christophe Katai. So there you have it, folks. 3 cars already in the pit lane. I can only imagine that is for damage reasons. As now Szabó-Kónyi looking to get closer now to Piotr Stachulec. Samuel Bean, who's currently at the bottom of our leaderboard. Please don't be fooled, folks. Currently a ghosted situation here in Brazil, but do not be confused. Samuel Bean still leads this race, but in 2nd place is Piotr Stachulec. Szabó-Kónyi in 3rd. What a duel we have at the top end. We have Ferrari, Red Bull, Aston Martin. It couldn't be any better than this, Danny.
No, but I don't understand this situation. What kind of desync it is. Samuel Bean was leading the race. He actually just set the fastest lap by the game, and he is a ghost in front of Stachulec. And actually, it's Bence who is making a move for the P1. At least the game thinks that, but Samuel Bean is still there. It's very weird what we are seeing now. I hope it is just a spectator issue and the drivers can actually fight fairly between each other.
Well, hopefully so. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's still Samuel Bean in front. Szabó-Kónyi in 2nd place as they come through the next left. Bence is now DNF'd as well, so that's a yellow flag in this, I believe, in the center S. He's actually come into the pit lane to retire, so that's no change there. Here comes Szabó-Kónyi on the ghosted car of Samuel Bean. And as we now watch him come through the next left, you can see him behind, just struggling there to hit the apex, maybe slightly there, Szabó-Kónyi. You can see him behind there that Piotr Stachulec is looking to get the jump on the Red Bull as they come through the next left now. Soon to reach the top now of the road at turn 13 at Junshao. And as they do so, again, they'll feather the throttle on the outset. Huge opportunity now for Szabó-Kónyi to maybe open up the rear wing very, very soon. Try and get past that Aston Martin. The DRS is opened up for Szabó-Kónyi. Goes side by side now with Samuel Bean. And this will be to take the lead of the race. He certainly does. Szabó-Kónyi now officially leads. And Piotr Stachulec got ahead as well.
And there was contact. Samuel Bean, he was really closed on the inside and he had a half spin. He actually managed to pull it together. I wonder if he has any kind of damage, but it was really close between the 2 championship drivers.
Certainly was. Piotr Stachulec got in very tight with the Aston Martin heading into the centre S's, but he took his advantage and therefore now up into second place in behind Ben Szabó-Kónyi. Currently we only have one car out of the race, that's Domo Bench. Obviously Samuel Bean still registering P18 on our timing screens. We of course know, folks, that he is currently in third place. Ben Szabó-Kónyi currently leads though, and Piotr Stachulec in second, Primož Miklavčič in fourth, with Akinci in fifth, Christoph Zeller in sixth, with István Puki in seventh, as they now climb now out of the Junsao corner, heading around the Peralta, the Akibankada, as they rise past the stadium section, and still nose to tail, half a second of deficit. Ben Szabó-Kónyi finding some good pace here, sets the fastest lap of the race with a 109.045, and is managing the deficit between him and Stachulec very well indeed, approximately half a second, Danny.
Yeah, but he won't be able to pull away with the DRS, I think. So I think he just needs to save some of his energy and react to the other strategical choices. Good. I see Samuel Bean falling behind, and now we are actually lucky he is back in the order. He just went wide. I don't know what kind of desync it was. I feel like he may have some kind of front wing damage because his car actually feels really understeery, and it's so bad to see. It's so bad to know, because Stachulec and Samuel, they are championship rivals, and it shouldn't come down to a damage like this. It should come down to a championship fight, to a proper fight. But now I'm not even sure if Samuel Bean will be able to open DRS, because I'm not sure if he was within that 1 second window, and I'm not even seeing that he's using his rear wing, and he needed to use a lot of ERS, but he's still 1.2 seconds behind. And actually Stachulec, he is starting to close up to Ben Szabó-Kónyi to actually try to put Samuel Bean out of the DRS.
Yeah, you could have actually made the move heading in towards turn one. The Ferrari had incredible pace down the long straight. Milan Meyer moves up into P9. Samuel Bean still in third place. Milan Meyer up into 10th. Obviously our timing screens just sorting themselves out, folks. Samuel Bean still in third. Akinci in fourth. There's a good equal gap throughout the top 10 pretty much, folks, bar Milan Meyer on Kedon Lutt. The gap between those two stretching to near enough 2 seconds, so quite a hefty gap between Kedon Lutt and Milan Meyer, clear of DRS, so Kedon Lutt can focus on his battle with Norbert Jakob, the AlphaTauri, currently in 8th place. But we're now watching once again Piotr Stachulec, a huge opportunity to potentially take the lead now and go and do a double in this event today, because of course he won the Mexican Grand Prix. He now also wants to win here at Brazil. Will he go past Ben Szabó-Kónyi? Not this time. He's going to be very patient, knows that perhaps Ben Szabó-Kónyi can pick him back up on the Rita Raposta. Will he decide to make the move in towards Decidia del Lago? Let's find out now. DRS opens up here for Piotr Stachulec, down in towards turn 4. Will he make the jump? Not this time. He's quite happy staying in behind Ben Szabó-Kónyi. He's driving a patient race here, Danny. Can you hear us, Danny? Oh, we seem to have lost Danny's mic. Hopefully
no, I muted myself. I'm so stupid. I saw Samuel Bean going into the pit, and he put his fresh set of potentially soft tires. I actually see medium tires on his car. I really hope it's a game issue with his leg, because if he put on mediums, then it's illegal. If you need to pit again, because you have to use 2 different compound of tires. And he was actually the first to pit, as I said, quite early, and I think he will make the undercut done, but he's already flashing, which means he doesn't have a lot of energy, and it's maybe down to not getting any DRS in the last couple of laps from Stachulec.
Yeah, well, Stachulec now leads the way. He's overtaken Ben Szabó-Kónyi, but Ben Szabó-Kónyi is right on his tail. A move potentially going in towards turn 4. No, nose to tail, they stay. Ben Szabó-Kónyi not happy to make the move just yet. Interestingly enough, Samuel Bean, who was actually registering as in the pits, was actually in sector 2 at that point in time. He was showing medium tyres, but all of a sudden they switched to soft. So we'll have to see how that strategy pays off for him, folks. He's in 7th place, leading the way, though, ahead of those who have already boxed. So that's an interesting complexion in this race. Obviously, could that early jump mean that he could jump those who are still yet to box? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what Stachulec's strategy is, because he, I'm sure, will be the decisive factor in all this. It'd be interesting to see how the two Red Bulls work this out, because of course Szabó-Kónyi is still out on track. Will he decide to box early? In comes Stachulec now. So they're all coming into box now, and Red Bull could be double stacking here.
Really? They came into the box together?
Yeah, Szabó-Kónyi
Why do they
and
do that?
Akinci. Very strange moves there at Red Bull.
Yeah, it was not a great strategy, at least for Bence. He didn't really lose time, and as I said, he pitted exactly the same as Stachulec, and he just wants to stay in the train, and I think he hopes that by the end of the race he will have better condition tires, because the softs wear out a little bit faster. And we see if the undercut worked or not. It's actually not even semi-Alpine, but Primož Miklavčič side by side with Stachulec, and semi-Alpine is really lagging on my screen. I'm not sure if you are seeing the same things that I'm seeing, but semi-Alpine in a really uncomfortable situation. I don't think the others even saw him on track, and he just got absolutely crashed out.
He did indeed. I think I'm having the same issues as yourself there, Danny. You're not on your own. Piotr Stachulec is still effectively in net P1. Primož Miklavčič in behind him, but devastating for Red Bull. Devastating, because of course both their cars were up near the top end, but because of the double stack now, it's meant that Akinci has fallen all the way down to P12, with Szabó-Kónyi in 5th place on medium tyres. So Red Bull are in very dire situations here now, as Istvan Pukki, who has had a tremendous race today, moves up into P3. A phenomenal job here by the Haas man, who finished in P3 after all those penalties at Mexico. He's now in 3rd place. He could be on for another podium here, Danny.
Yeah, they are doing great, and I think Stachulec, this was the point where he got this. His lead is over 2 seconds now, and I think he has the pure pace to not let everyone back within the DRS, especially when the cars behind starts to fight with each other. So he didn't use a lot of energy at the beginning of the race. He knew that he won't be able to break the DRS gap. But now, as soon as he saw an opportunity, he switched to maximum pace, what we saw in Mexico, and now he is leading. Kedon Lutt hasn't visited the pit yet. Stachulec got this, and Stachulec also got this championship, and semi-Alpine is down to P10, and I'm not happy about Codemasters or the internet connections that it came down to like this, because I wanted a fairer fight, to be honest.
It's a big shame, puts it down there on a championship fight, but Zsolt and Baena now stuck in between two cars, 3 wide now in towards turn 1, as Zsolt and Baena looks to strip the 2, but he can't, because ahead of him it's Zeller Christoph, and of course Szabó-Kónyi, but it is going to be Christoph Zeller who gets out in front of Szabó-Kónyi and Zsolt and Baena, but the Ferrari comes back at him here, side by side into the City del Lago. The Scuderia look upon them now, as Zsolt and Baena tries to fight for that P5, still side by side between the Red Bull. Late break there from Zsolt and Baena. He gets into P5. Masterfully done there, Danny Bereznay.
Yeah, and semi-Alpine also got a 3 seconds time penalty, as well as Primož Miklavčič also has a 3 seconds time penalty. Photon tried his best, actually Bence, to defend, but his medium tires are still not working. He seems to be slower than anyone else on track currently, and he just really needs to try to survive for the last few laps. He uses a lot of ERS to stay within the DRS and maybe fight back, as Stachulec also fought back at the end of the stint, you know, against the soft tires of him.
Yeah, Norbert Jakob now jumps ahead of Szabó-Kónyi as well. It's a race to forget so far for Red Bull. They have dropped down the field considerably, and now the AlphaTauris are back near the ascendancy. Christoph Zeller, of course, up into 4th. Norbert Jakob up into 6th. So AlphaTauri, the Alpha Honda car at this moment in time. Incredible scenes indeed. We've got a lovely train in between, currently being led by Istvan Pukki, should I say, with Primož Miklavčič in 3rd, Christoph Zeller in 4th. Nothing separates them. Christoph Zeller, in fact, getting so close now to Primož Miklavčič. Can send it heading around the next right, but chooses not to around the next right after the Ferrari into towards turn 7 and turn 8. Now rounding the Pinarino and certainly having another look there, Christoph Zeller. He's got so much pace in that car. And look at this, Zsolt and Baena, not content with staying in P5, wants to have another go at the AlphaTauri. And they could once again duel heading up towards Junsao. A late break from Zsolt and Baena again. Wonderfully done indeed from the Ferrari. And he will still have DRS as well, because of course he's got Primož Miklavčič ahead of him here. But look who else is in behind. You've got Norbert Jakob as well as Szabó-Kónyi, who's still in the fight. Heading in towards the center S's. Who's going to go for it this time? Zsolt and Baena tries to go late on the brakes, but stays in behind Primož Miklavčič. Heading out to the S's now. Round through towards the next left. Down through towards the retro post round of turn 3. Still nose to tail, all of them, all nose to tail. A late break potentially for Zsolt and Baena. Gets so close to the rear of Primož Miklavčič. It could have ended in tears, but instead Zsolt and Baena, a wonderful race he's driving so far. Exquisite maneuvering.
Yeah, awesome driving by the Ferrari. He really used his opportunity to the best, and now he defends a little bit against Christoph. We see the tire wear. Primož Miklavčič has the oldest tires with 7 laps of age, and he is definitely the slowest in this pack. Istvan Puki, he has a really good condition at the front with not bad tires, but behind him, Zsolt and Baena and Szele Christoph, they pitted the latest out of the whole pack, and obviously there is Bence Szabó-Kónyi, who will come back at the fight when his tires become better and better over every lap as the mediums wear out slower than the softs.
Well, he's back now because he's challenging Norbert Jakob. There's a movement further up as well, as we're seeing them nose to tail. Zsolt and Baena once again looking to make moves. He's up into P3 fighting Primož Miklavčič, who is refusing to back down, as well as Christoph Zeller, who comes in to join the fight. They are too wide, they're going groups of 2. Oh, big crash, huge crash. Massive incident, and that is Istvan Puki, who spins off. I can't see too much ring damage, but Primož Miklavčič has DNF'd out of the race. That is a huge incident, a massive crash.
I cannot even comment it. Nobody lifted, everyone was side by side, and the most minor direction changes at this speed. They hit each other, they collided, unsettled the car, and it was like a domino effect.
It was absolute scenes, Danny, and like you say, it was 4 cars, two by two, became 4 wide, and sending it in to Decidia de Largo. It was absolute carnage, wheel tapping, heading into that segment of the track, and certainly I can imagine there's going to be words in the stewards' room as now Akinci and Szabó-Kónyi, the Red Bull team, fighting back here as they move up into Ps 4 and 5 together, and Akinci on the soft tyres. He will only have minimal grip, at least towards the end of this race. Szabó-Kónyi, you'd imagine, will be quicker for the final 2 laps, Danny.
Yeah, he may be, and he also has a lot of ERS remaining. I think it's the most of the others. Bence has 50%, Akinci has 10%, Zsolt and Baena has 20%, and Norbert Jakob has 20% as well. So I think it's looking quite good for Bence Szabó-Kónyi, who finished P2, and he is on for another P2 finish here, but obviously it's not all about the energy and the tires. You need to make the move stick, and sometimes we see how risky it gets. And for me, he is still not seeing to be too fast, because at the end of the middle sector, where the mechanical grip counts a lot, he still fell back 0.7 of a second. I even feel like he has a little bit understeer. I'm not sure if in all this fight he got slight damage. We cannot see that, unfortunately. But yeah, it may be a big fight at the top, and already a few people died, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It got very close between all of them and naturally ended in tears. But one man we failed to really talk about is Piotr Stachulec, who currently leads, once again, very similar to Mexico, but only this time I feel the gap is a lot wider. 5.8 seconds, as now we're watching the cars once again heading towards Decidia de Largo. No incidents this time, but Norbert Jakob now leading the train of cars with Zsolt and Baena, who despite the fray or the fracas that we saw before, he's now in 3rd place, driving a reasonable race as well. I'd say he's a good man to pick for driver of the day if we were to pick one, because of course he's pulled off some wonderful moves, has kept his nose clean, out of trouble, and he's been impressive in that Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, he started the race from P4, so that is not a lot of positions gained. if we compare it to Norbert Jakob, who started the race from P10, maybe it should be Norbert the driver of the day, but the overtakes that we saw on the stream, on track, they looked magnificent. But now, Akinci, who actually double stacked with his teammate, is going for that P2, and they are 3 wide. Akinci is the driver almost behind, but he's down the inside. He eventually backs out of the Manotter, and it's Zoltán Bode and Norbert Jakob side by side. And actually Zoltán, our driver of the day, if we come to the fight, he wins another fight because he comes up to P2. But now he needs to defend. It's Norbert Jakob trying to make a move. Very late direction changes. Now they are a little bit more cautious compared to the last time, and no one crashed out, luckily, and it can go on until the last lap. It's Bence Szabó-Kónyi, who is on the medium tires, probably in a better condition at this point of the race. He is starting to experience making moves.
He certainly is, and just look at that, a Ferrari P1, P2 situation, a lockout for the Scuderia at the top end with Stachulec leading the way, Zoltán Bode in second, Norbert Jakob in third place, keeping the 2 Red Bulls in behind the AlphaTauri, which is extraordinary to see, but certainly Akinci doing his utmost to certainly draw something out of Norbert Jakob right now, in behind Bence Szabó-Kónyi, watching all this unfold. Naturally, on the medium tyres, he would expect better grip. Here comes now Akinci. Let him come and join the fight. Another 3 wide heading in towards turn 1. And yes, it's Norbert Jakob who now moves up into second place. Zoltán Bode scrapping it out with Akinci. The Red Bull giving up the fight now. He will not. Heading down the stretch now through the Retro poster, down through towards turn 4. Bence Szabó-Kónyi with a late move. He's got to send it side by side with his teammate now. Akinci, oh, he's off. He's off. Bence Szabó-Kónyi on the medium tyres off the track. What a moment here in this race. Zoltán Bode down into P3. Akinci still behind him. But I have to say, a very high drama affair here at Brazil. It never ceases to amaze. Final race of the championship. It's usually a final race of the season. It has gone down in history as that before. But Piotr Stachulec, after an immense drive at Mexico, he turns up again for race 2. And in an unbelievable fashion, clear by 7.3 seconds, the Ferrari fans cheer, and Stachulec crosses the line, and surely that puts him in hot contention for the championship win. What a race there, Bereznay.
Yeah, and it was photo finish between P2 and P4, only a couple of stands were the decided factor, and on my screen I see actually Zoltán Bode getting P2 back at the last straight, because he was P3, he lost out on the fight, but now he's P2 by the timing system, but it's not always accurate at the end of the stream. What an awesome day for Piotr Stachulec, and what an awesome fight we witnessed here. A little bit overly aggressive again. I really wonder how different they will act in the actual Challenger series. But yes, this FuturEsportS League has ended, and Piotr Stachulec is our World Championship winner.
He certainly is, and in what style. He is capped off a perfect event 5, and certainly a perfect weekend as well for Ferrari as well, because they've got a 1-2 here in Brazil. What a way to do it. I go back to that Glock moment, of course, when Felipe Massa crossed the line in front. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to a title for Massa, but it could lead to a title now for Piotr Stachulec. What an incredible race. Drama, incidents that maybe we didn't quite see in Mexico. Obviously, we didn't see the penalties pull up like we did in Mexico, but the crashes were spectacular, I have to say. We don't like to talk about crashes in that vein, folks, but we had so many 3 wides and even a 4 wide, Danny.
Yeah, we had a lot of action, and luckily it's not real life, so these crashes we can just laugh about.
Yeah, we certainly can. It's absolutely absolute pandemonium, folks. But obviously, we're going to talk to, I'm sure, to some of the drivers later on in our interviews. Obviously, we'll keep you up to date with who comes in. But how do you summarise that race, Danny? Because, of course, we spoke about Zoltán Bode and his huge efforts to move up the field, of course. An amazing effort from P4 to then move up into second place. But, you know, there were so many things to talk about. But that is a race that Ferrari could be proud of, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of action was there. We couldn't always follow because cars were diving down the inside here and there were someone who tried to make some ERA strategy. For an example, it was Bence Szabó who tried to be smart again, but on this track where the others didn't get penalties, he effectively just kept on losing the positions, and some aggressive drivers actually won positions, but some overly aggressive drivers actually just crashed out of the race. So this race really showed that you need to find the right balance between being cautious and being aggressive, because if you are too cautious, then you are obviously not gaining any positions, but if you are too aggressive, then obviously you end up in the wall. So fine margins there between the drivers. But yes, mega day for the Ferraris, and also Stachulec, he had awesome pace. Even at the end of his stint on the medium tires, he couldn't be undercut by the new soft runners, and he came back P1 strategically on the track, and as others tried to fight behind him, he just pulled away from the DRS gap again, and there, from raw pace, he just managed it all.
Well, he certainly did. He did it absolutely brilliantly as well. And I think, well, obviously we're going to have to wait and see what the decisions are in terms of the points, but obviously from what we saw, I would say that Piotr Stachulec, and I have got confirmation, folks, Piotr Stachulec has won the championship. So what a way to win a championship, Danny. He came into this event, let's just remind you of what the point situation looked like coming in to tonight's event, because I have to say it was a huge effort, you know, and it should be frowned upon by Stachulec. Let's have a quick look at this, certainly this lineup, because it is absolutely phenomenal. Standings now coming up to our screens now. This was how it looked before we came into tonight's races. Samuel B was on 119 points in front. Tomek Paratis in second on 98 points. Piotr Stachulec on 90 points in third place. But 2 wins tonight at Mexico and Brazil. And of course, Samuel B not scoring any points tonight at all is what led to this immense changeover. Piotr Stachulec now confirmed champion for the FES League. That's extraordinary, isn't it, Danny?
Yes, I mean, I didn't think he believed that he will have this, but Samuel Bean couldn't score points in either of the races. The second one more like technical difficulties. The first one, it's really important to set a valid lap in the qualifying session. No matter how fast you are, if you are not setting valid lap times, then it's not too good for you. And yeah, Stachulec actually won this championship, so I think it's quite a big confidence going into the last challengers even for him.
It certainly is a massive confidence boost, and I have to say it just goes to show and hammer home the fact that he has improved immensely in this championship fight. Obviously I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of talk between the drivers in the stewards room as well, but once again a wonderful experience to see all those drivers out on track, certainly giving it everything. I mean, naturally lots of battling. I mean in those situations, Danny, it's very seldom seen in F1 esports the drivers do send it that heavily in the F1 Esports Championship, but it's spectacular to see the 4 and 3 white, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, if I were a steward, I would be really strict, because we want to represent real life in the most realistic manner, and sometimes it's not what we get. But yeah, I think it will improve on time. It's still very early days for the whole esports field in general, so I think we shouldn't be really impatient, and we should appreciate what we have, improving year to year with many leagues coming up, many kind of content coming up, and a really competitive field and passionate drivers racing against the best of the best.
Absolutely. Well, we are looking to see if we can get an interview with Piotr Stachulec. Obviously it would be the right interview to have, considering that he's now the champion. Obviously we're just trying to keep our eyes peeled to see whether he is coming into our live chat.
He's too busy celebrating. Probably, I think he already opened his champagne, or maybe he is just continuing practicing like nothing happened. Oh, I won the Future Esports Championship League, but on Thursday the challenger comes up, so I need to sweat.
Well, I can confirm we have got someone with us now. It is Norbert Jakob, and Norbert, what a race as far as you're concerned. An immense race, in fact. I mean, Brazil got a little bit funny, didn't it, towards the top end? You were trying to keep the Red Bulls behind you. Just talk about this weekend, because it has been absolutely phenomenal. So give us your thoughts.
These races were really tough for me. I'm speechless currently. Well, let's begin with Mexico, where I had an awesome qualifying session, and I finished 4th, if I remember correctly. And at the start I could overtake Christoph, my teammate, But unfortunately I had a contact with him later on in the race, which resulted in a broken front wing, so I had to come into the pits again. So basically that was my race over there. And in Brazil I was praying for a wet qualifying session and a dry race, which became the reality, and I was really happy about it. Unfortunately in the qualifying I could only achieve 10th place, but in the race I had a really good start, and there were quite a few battles ahead of me, and there were quite a few contacts as well. And there was a huge crash ahead of me, like 5 laps to go, and like 3 or 4 cars took each other out, which was horrific for me, as I was the first car who wasn't involved in the crash. So it was really a scary moment, and I had a really great battle with Zoltán, and maybe it was Akinci, I can't remember correctly, in the Red Bull, and well, the game said I finished third, but it was more than obvious that I crossed the line in second place. So yeah, it was a fantastic race for me, and a really good end to this season.
Yeah, absolutely. So potential for you to maybe take that to the stewards room to get that looked at?
Yeah, probably I will do it.
There we have. We'll absolutely see how that pays off. But obviously, Norbert, I've obviously commentated on you in the past as well. You make no, you are obviously looking to certainly push forward in the world of sim racing and esports. I mean, obviously, what are your plans at this moment in time concerning your own sim racing future? Is the path still F1 esports as always, or is there something else that you're looking to chase?
Yes, of course, this is my main goal, to achieve F1 Esports Pro Series, and I have the time trial qualification route left for me, which I could successfully qualify previous this year. So maybe if I'm fast enough in the time trial section of the game, I can get the pro license for the 2022 season, which would be awesome for me. But if this doesn't happen, then I will push myself to the limit once again next year, and hopefully I can get the pro license in 2023, and hopefully a seat as well in the Pro Series.
Well, I have to tell you, yeah, I love your confidence, my friend, and congratulations on a hard-fought championship fight. Obviously, it didn't come out smelling of roses for all of it, but I'm sure it will give you all the confidence in the world to go out and get something else. So well done, Norbert. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we have Istvan Puki joining us here in the commentary box as well. Istvan, what a phenomenal fight from yourself. We watched an extraordinary tussle, in the Haas. You were there bringing it up to the top. I almost mistaken you for Kevin Magnussen at one point.
Yeah, well, before the event, I thought like Mexico is my worst track in the whole game, and during the practices, it just came to be more than obvious, because the qualifying pace was worse than ever, I guess. But still, I was hoping for a nice race and knew that penalty is gonna be the key. So try to not get a single 3-second penalty or something even more. And it paid out. I was just patient and sitting behind, waiting for everyone else to get their penalties, and it was a P3, I guess. Yes, if I'm correct, in Mexico.
It was in Mexico, P3.
Yeah, so considering my qualifying pace and overall it was a good result, and anyway P3 and being on the podium is always nice. But I was expecting much more from Brazil, and as I saw the rain, there is only one track where I don't want to rain in the quali, and it was Brazil, because I know I'm good here. I've got the qualifying pace and even better pace on the race. So I was hoping for just clean weather on both sessions, but but that's my luck, kinda. So very bad luck in the wet conditions, qualifying just for P11, I think, was enough for P11, and yeah. I wanted like P5 or top 5, if I can say that. But after the start I was hoping in a podium, and I've got the strategies right and all the overtakes right, even with some bugs it somewhere been in the pits as well, and after the first lap out of the pits, it was quite confusing what happened, because he became a ghost for me on my screen and I could drive through him. But it seemed like on his screen I wasn't ghost and he wasn't either, obviously. So it was unfortunate, I guess. Keeping P2, tried to defend from the guys behind, but somehow they just messed up something behind me and took me out. I don't know exactly what happened. Need to check it even more, so bad luck from Brazil, but still a podium, so it's alright.
Absolutely. Well, it was a huge effort from yourself and very impressive again. You seem to have a knack of getting podiums just off the back of your clean racing. You certainly have been one of the most clean performers this season. Do you take pride on your racecraft? Is that an important part of your driving, should we say?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of weird that it is the most important part of my driving, that even if I have a bad quali, I can make it into the points easily, so yeah. Just basically my whole weekend starts after the qualifying. Kind of funny, but sad as well.
Well, yeah, I've got to say, it was a tremendous performance for yourself, Ispan, and you continue to blow us away with your performances in the Haas. I'd like to congratulate you on a wonderful championship tussle, and I hope to see you again in the near future.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Ispan. Thank you. And last but not least, we have the man himself, the man who did, everything perfect this evening. We're joined by Piotr Stachulec. Now, Piotr Stachulec, I do feel bad for you in a way, because we didn't have the cameras on you the entire time throughout the race, because you seemed to be in the clear, you were unfazed, you were on your own. You didn't really have a lot to fight with out there. You just sort of led the way, a nice healthy gap. I believe in the first race in Mexico it was about 2.7 seconds, and then in the race at Brazil it was more like 7.5 seconds. I mean, you must be absolutely thrilled. Congratulations on a championship secured. Well done.
First of all, thank you so much. Yeah, I think you're right. There wasn't much happening from my point of view. Basically, I got pole position at both races, so the plan was simple to basically try to pull out the gap from the others, and I think I did it pretty well in Mexico. Especially, I managed to create a gap like 2 seconds in 4 laps, so I'm pretty happy about it. And in Brazil it was more complicated. Obviously, Samuel overtook me on the start, and then it was desync between us. He was a ghost, so yeah, I think I hit him by accident, but well, I couldn't do a lot about that. So yeah, Brazil it was pretty much the same. After the pit stop, I managed to leg up and yeah, and win by quite a big margin. So pretty happy about that. The race is great before the Challengers last event. So.
Well, it must give you a lot of confidence. I mean, I was talking to Danny with me with regards to your form throughout the championship season. You've just seemed to be on an upwards trajectory. You've been improving week after week. Is there anything you've been putting into position? Do you agree? Has there been some improvements over the last few weeks from yourself? Because you seem to be getting more and more into the top end, more and more in the points. Is there something you've changed? Is there something you've worked on? What is the big secret behind the pace of Piotr Stachulec?
Well, I think it's most about the confidence, because at the beginning I wasn't so confident. I thought like P6 in Challenger is gonna be huge for me, but it surprisingly I am P2. So yeah, confidence is quite high right now, and yeah, it's about that.
Yeah, and what's your future plans? Do you have any goals set in mind? I can only imagine that F1 Esports is certainly on the cards. Is that something that you're looking to push for?
Yeah, that's the main goal, and I hope I'm gonna be picked by some of the teams. So yeah, definitely looking forward for the future, and yeah.
And how do you summarise the whole Challenger series so far? How is your performance? How have you felt your performance has been going? Is there anything that you feel you could have done better, or have you been totally content with your progress so far?
It was pretty nice. I mean, the big point about being second, I think it's about consistency in the whole race. Like if you check every race of the Challengers, I'm always in top 5, and I think that's the biggest thing which is important. So yeah, I think that it's about it. That's why I am second.
Well, it's been a marvellous championship, and what an ascendancy to win the FES 3 Drivers' Championship. I want to say a massive congratulations to you, Piotr. An excellent season, excellent drive. Once again, 2 wins tonight. Incredible. Look forward to seeing you next time, but what a way to win a title. Well done.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good night. Yeah.
Thank you, Piotr. Thank you ever so much. Well, Danny, that is it. That is everything. We have now finished the FES 3 League. I've got to say, what a championship it's been. Can I just say, you've done a tremendous job in the commentary box with me as well. It's been great having you alongside me as my analyst. Can you think of any favourite moments? I mean, first of all, let's talk about Piotr Stachulec, though, because he obviously sounds like a man who is composed, seems to take everything in his stride. He didn't seem too buoyant. I'd imagine he still has challenges in his mind at the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely a maximalist trying to achieve the best he can, and he won't be satisfied until he's a full-time esports player. So it's definitely a great stepping stone to win a league like this, but it's not the final goal of him. So he just keeps his head down. It's like the Ferrari master plan this year. They kind of do the same in real life, and he's actually a Ferrari driver in the series. So it's quite a great coincidence that what we are seeing today. But thank you very much for your nice words. I try to learn English as we are going forward, as I'm still very young. We discussed that you are very old, so I have time to catch up. And yeah, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to commentate alongside.
No, honestly, Danny, it's been a pleasure to have you with me for the entire season that you've been with us, and obviously I look forward to plenty more in the future. Hopefully I'll get to have you alongside me as well. I know you said that you would like to do some more in the near future, and I'm sure we will make that happen at some point. But folks, I want to say first of all a massive thank you for having me as your commentator for the FES 3 League. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you all the action from FuturEsports. Certainly this has been such an enticing championship, certainly a roller coaster of a championship, and certainly we'll look to see how these drivers get on in the Challengers series as well for the final events. It's going to be truly spectacular. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you leave a like and also subscribe as well to the YouTube channel here at FuturEsports. But also, if you're watching us on Twitch, you can also drop a follow as well and stay up to date with everything FuturEsports on this channel. Danny, I'm going to ask you to say now, what are your social media accounts? Do you care to share them? Where can people find Danny Bereznay?
No one has to find me, everyone already follows me. No, if you don't follow me, you made a huge mistake, because you missed on a lot of golden retriever and doggy stuff, and also some nice racing action. But yeah, Instagram, Danny Bereznay, YouTube, Danny Bereznay, and surprise, surprise, I'm on TikTok and Twitter as Danny Bereznay as well, because that is my name, indeed.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's everywhere, folks. He's absolutely everywhere. But you can also find me as well. I am also on Twitter, I'm also on Instagram, I'm also on YouTube, I'm also on TikTok, all of them at George Morgan TV. So it's very easy for you to find me, that's for sure. So please make sure you do. But folks, it has been a special championship. Piotr Stachulec has been crowned champion in absolutely amazing style. What a way to end. 2 wins in the final event. You must be bonkers. We'll see you next time, folks. Do take care of yourselves. Goodbye.